Hello, I'm Hatu, welcoming you to another Asian Agri-based podcast. In recent years, probiotics have been developed in line with technology advances. However, for animal use, there are still room for improvements in probiotics production. My colleague Meliana talks with Nadia Yakubi, Technical Marketing Director for Gut Health Solution at Evonik Animal Nutrition, about the role, the mode of action, and advantages of modern probiotics for animal use.
Hi Nadia, it's nice to have you in this podcast. Before we start, can you please introduce yourself and your company?
Hi Mel, thanks for the invitation. It's a pleasure to be here today. My name is Nadia Yakubi. I've been working in research and development in the corporate environment since 2012, and now I'm Director Technical Marketing for Gut Health Solution at Evonik Animal Nutrition. Evonik is the leader in the animal nutrition area. We have a wide range of products, amino acids, functional feed additives, farm management solution, feed quality services, and plant nutrition fertilizers, all combined into customized system solution for the specific requirement of our customers.
Thanks. Probiotics are becoming increasingly popular as alternatives to antibiotic growth promoters. And in recent years, probiotics have been developed modern as technology advances. Nadia, can you explain what are modern probiotics? What are the differences from traditional probiotics? What are the different types of probiotics available today, and how are they different from each other?
Well, modern probiotics are mainly bacteria that are selectively chosen for their particular mode of action. To select a probiotics, we have to follow certain guidelines to make sure that the product is safe for human, animal, and environment. It also needs to show its efficacy for the intended use. So the probiotic selection starts by a screening step of the right bacteria from a bioarchive, in general, that contains hundreds, thousands of bacteria collected from soils, chicken gut, and many other origins. For the screening, we set a list of target criteria that the next probiotic should fulfill. For example, we are looking for a probiotics that shows certain gut fitness, it's bile resistance, it's spore forming, it's heat resistant during pelleting, it has a fast germination time, and so on. Every probiotic, though, needs to be free from antimicrobial resistance gene and any toxin-related genes. The probiotics that succeeds to pass all these selection gates needs, of course, to prove its efficacy, as I mentioned, and so we should validate that the selected probiotics is also improving performance or showing the beneficial effects on the animals. Most of the time, we are looking at standard KPIs in the animal trials as performance parameters, but not only. Recently, we are looking at the microbiome modulation, and so we are looking at the microbiome composition, we are looking at gut integrity, immune parameters, and so on. As I mentioned, so recently during the selection process, tendency is to set a particular target for the probiotics regarding its mode of action. For example, the selected probiotics has particular inhibition effects against certain pathogens, E. coli, Salmonella, Clostridium perfringens, and so on. It has, for example, the ability to produce a particular metabolite or a set of metabolites responsible for healthy gut, improve gut integrity, and so on. So we are more specific on the mode of action, and so that the selection process is a little bit harder. Depending on the selection criteria of the mode of action, each selected new probiotics is different from others. Another particularity that we can identify in modern probiotics that they can be species-specific. For example, a certain probiotics is developed for swine, for poultry, for aquaculture. It's a little bit logic because intestinal and environmental conditions are different for each species, and this can influence the efficacy of these products. So are also the health issues in each species, and so we need a specialized probiotic. New probiotics are from different species belonging to the genera Bacillus, Streptococcus, Enterococcus, Lachnoclostridium. You may associate some of these names to pathogenic bacteria, but within the same genus, different species and particular strain have different effect. As I explained, the new probiotic strain should be unique, and on one of the criteria that the new probiotic should also pass is the whole genome sequencing, proving that it's unique and it's absent from any other non-desirable genes. The traditional probiotics, on the other hand, are mainly lactic acid bacteria belonging to the Lactobacillus, Lactococcus, and Bifidobacteria genera. Traditional probiotics are gram-positive bacteria that produce lactic acid as a main end product. They are non-spore forming, which means that they are non-resistant to pelleting condition, and most of the time they are used in mash feed. Other option to be able to use them in pelleted feed is coating to protect them from high temperature, but also extreme intestinal condition in the upper gut, characterized by a very low pH. This will lead to higher production costs, and so the other alternative application of the lactic acid bacteria is to use the fermentation broth that contains the lactic acid and the bacteriocin produced, and so that these new products will be called postbiotic rather than pure probiotic.
Interesting. Nadia, what are the role and mode of action of these probiotics?
Well, I think on this particular question, we can have a 2-hour presentation just to briefly summarize the main mode of action. I'll try to briefly summarize these and just give an idea about the main mode of action. The mode of action of these probiotics is strain-specific. In recent years, we have witnessed many research studies investigating the mode of action of various probiotics. In general, the probiotics have the ability to modulate the microbiome through different mechanisms. Many of the probiotics, not to say all, can produce short-chain fatty acids, and these short-chain fatty acids can be used by other bacteria in the gut. On the other hand, the probiotic strain can also use other metabolites produced by other bacteria in the gut, and so this interaction between the bacteria in the gut and the probiotics is so-called bacterial cross-feeding. And this will result in a microbiome modulation. Probiotics can also interact with pathogens through different mechanisms, either by the secretion of antibacterial substances that has direct inhibition effects against the pathogen, or through quorum quenching by blocking activation signals between the pathogens. This affects their metabolism and toxin production. Probiotics can also compete with pathogens for adhesion site on the intestine, but also for nutrient, limiting their survival and metabolism. Many studies reported also immune modulation effect by enhancing signaling in the host cell to reduce inflammatory response and the production of inflammatory substances. Probiotics can also improve the gut integrity and stimulate the production of mucin and defensins to enhance the epithelial barrier function. Some new studies shows also that some of the probiotics can bind toxins and facilitate their elimination. They can also produce some enzymes that will neutralize the endotoxin produced by pathogens. Some recent study also reported that some lactic bacteria can bind mycotoxin like aflatoxin in liquid media. There are main mechanisms reported in the literature, but as I said, it's only few. And as I mentioned, it's strain-specific and can also be different according to the test condition. If you are in liquid media, if you are in feed, if you are in the animal in vitro, the results and the explanation can be different. Now, in the literature, we can find also some reviews listing the beneficial effects of probiotics in general and summarizing the mode of action, but I have to admit that we are not yet done discovering and unlocking the full potential and mode of action of probiotics. We should always keep in mind that probiotics are different, and so is their mode of action.
Okay. As you mentioned, Nadia, many studies reported the effects of probiotics. I'm wondering how are modern probiotics applied in different livestock and poultry production systems? What are the challenges of the application of probiotics in animal feeding?
Most of the modern probiotics on the market are heat-resistant, so they can survive the pelleting process. Therefore, they are mainly used in feed application. Their resistance to pelleting condition is natural feature, especially for spore-forming probiotics, or it's artificial by coating technology. The probiotics in animal feed needs also to be compatible with other feed additives as coccidiostats, organic acids, enzymes, and other substances. These compatibility tests are generally part of the screening process of the probiotics, and these information is part of the technical supports that probiotics producers offer to their customer. Yet, we also have probiotics for water application. The water application presents a faster, more flexible alternative compared to the feed application, while having all the benefits that probiotics can bring. On the other hand, most of the water-soluble probiotics in the markets are sugar-based to increase the solubility, and this can lead to biofilm formation in the drinking line. During the recent years, we as Evonik, we've worked on a new formulation as an effervescent tablet. The tablet is sugar-free and showed a quick and homogeneous distribution of the spores in water without additional stirring. The other limitation of water application is the water quality and other water additives that may reduce the effect and the germination rate of the probiotics afterwards. The reason why probiotics for water application need to fulfill all these criteria to be qualified for such use.
Nadia, can we use 2 or more probiotics at the same time? Are there products that should not be used with probiotics?
Yes, we can use more than one probiotic or strain at the same time, but you should first check their compatibility, as they can also compete with each other or inhibit each other's growth. It's very important to use compatible strain. Some probiotics strain can show even a synergistic effect when used together or with other feed additive. So in theory, yes, there is no problem, but as I said, there is few screening steps that needs to be done to validate this. As I mentioned, on the other hand, what are the products that cannot be used or should not be used with a probiotic? So as I mentioned before, that probiotics to be qualified for animal use is that they need to be free from antimicrobial resistance genes. So using antibiotics as treatment, meaning high concentration, will also kill the probiotics. On the other hand, we had quite often the question from our customer, is probiotic compatible with AGP in the diet? So meaning antibiotics as growth promoter, lower concentration in the diet. I can only answer for our probiotics. We've tested a wide range of AGPs, and so far our probiotics are compatible.
What are the advantages of modern probiotics and the potential risks associated with their use? How cost-effective is probiotic use, especially compared to antibiotic growth promoters?
I think the advantage of probiotics are really one of the best alternatives as AGP replacement. I have to be honest, so far I've never read any study reporting potential risk associated with their use in animal nutrition. It's rather more beneficial effects for the animals' performance and welfare. It's beneficial for the environment as they are antimicrobial resistant gene free, but help also reduce the use of antibiotics. So only positive aspect associated with probiotic. When it comes to cost effectiveness compared to AGP, I think there is room for improvement, as AGP are quite cheap in many countries where it's still allowed to be used. In many countries, this question is irrelevant as AGP are banned since many years, and I think the European experience showed that we can be cost effective while being AGP free.
Nadia, is probiotic use now mainstream in Asia? What is your outlook for probiotics use in the region?
According to recent market studies, probiotics is in the Asian market is growing fast, and forecast is showing that this will continue for the next years, reaching a market value of almost 1.8 billion in 2026, according to market data forecast. We need to keep in mind that these market insights are taken into consideration bacterial probiotics, but also yeast based products or probiotics, and for all species, including ruminant, which represent a huge market share and volumes. But still, I think that probiotics are really growing in Asia and represent a real nice potential. I think one of the reasons it's mainly because of all the efforts made to bring new probiotics on the market. More specialized, more efficient, safer for human and animal and environment. On the other hand, there is a high consumer pressure to have AGP-free production, which led to their ban in different countries. Tendency is increasing, and so many other countries are following this ban. And this is why probiotics in general and feed additive in general are actually gaining market share as one of the best alternative to AGP.
Okay. Is there anything else you want to add, Nadia?
I would like to thank you, Mel, for this invitation, and Asian AgriBase for giving me the opportunity to share my opinion about the topic, and I would like to thank the audience for listening. And I really want to encourage them to send me their question, comments via email. My email address is nadia.yakubi@evonik.com, and I will be happy to follow up on this question and comments. And yeah, thanks for listening, and thanks for having me today. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Nadia.
I hope that you take some valuable insights from this episode. Thank you for listening in. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel on Spotify, Apple Music, or wherever you get your podcasts. For more on the Asian animal protein industries, please visit www.asian-agribase.com.